All right, here we are. New episode of Let There Be Talk, and it is New Rock Day here. I like to feature a lot of new bands. I don't know how new they are, but they're definitely new to me in the last 2, 3 months. Let's welcome Color Green here to the show. What's up, guys?
What is
What's
up?
happening?
Noah
Chilling.
and Corey.
Yes, sir.
Four-piece band. You got a female rhythm section, pretty fucking cool. And
Yes,
then
sir.
and then two dudes.
Two
Two
dudes.
dudes for sure.
Two
Yeah.
dudes.
Now, I will give you a rundown. I've been doing the show for 12 years, and I absolutely love, at 58 years old, finding new music still to this day. And however it happens, the old school way was the best. You'd be sitting in a record store looking for something, and somebody would be playing something. You go, "Oh, what's that?" And you'd be even afraid to ask the guy because he'd be like, "Oh, you don't fucking know, get out," you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
scary.
still
yeah,
like that.
but there's nothing more powerful. I've said anything can beat the algorithm. It's the word of mouth, and the word of mouth is so underrated these days. But the word of mouth is really what makes most bands kind of crawl out of the underground. And these days, it's all done by DMing. People DM me a band, check this out. And somebody sent me over your band. And I usually give bands about one song or two. And I can tell right away because I figure if somebody's sending me the band, they're probably sending me what song they think is the best.
Right.
And so they sent it over, and I thought the song was Colorado, but when I first heard it, I was like, "Oh yeah, Colorado," and and then I dug into the record, and I've absolutely I put it in my top 10 for 2024 this year, and I
Oh,
think it's a fantastic record, Fool's Parade. Welcome,
Thank you.
guys.
thanks so
Thank you.
much. Yeah, appreciate it, man.
Now, are you guys obviously, this would be funny if I talked to you and I go, "Were you in bands before?" You go, "Nah, I was working IT and then I
Yeah,
just
dude.
decided to play guitar because fuck the man." But
Yeah, I'm doing the James Williamson route. I'm going the
yeah,
opposite way.
but you guys are LA guys and I have never seen you. I wanted to go see you in Venice at the
Right.
townhouse, but of course the fucking fires. But
Yeah.
give me the rundown on you guys, how you started, who'd you used to play with, and all that.
um me and Corey worked together at the Stumptown in Red Hook in New York. So the band kind of started in New York. And we were scooping coffee beans and delivering the beans all over the city in these Sprinter vans. And we just had a lot of time to talk about music in the vans, and it just kind of came together that way. But yeah, it just kind of happened organically. And what you said about word of mouth and stuff, that's actually how this band kind of manages itself, because it's so hard to operate through the algorithm and all that bullshit, and everything that's come with this band has happened through word of mouth reputation and just like by chances of luck, I guess.
Yeah. And a
Now,
mix
how
of
uh,
like
how long ago was that you got together?
2000, when was that, Corey? Like
we made the
2000?
first EP in 2018, and then
Yeah.
I left New York. And then it kind of sat
Hmm.
around for a little bit, and then it caught some wind, like early COVID, I guess.
Yeah, I was living in New Mexico with a couple other uh, musicians, and they heard the record and they wanted to put it out. So it got put out through this label called Maximum Exposure, based out of Toronto. And we didn't really know, like, when we started just like recording songs. There was like no kind of idea
Yeah.
of this to be like a real band or anything, and everything just kind of happened just because we are like, I guess we should do this.
Yeah.
Like it was more just like uh, uh happenstance or something.
Yeah.
It's funny to think about. There's been some music coming out of Brooklyn in the last 5 years that I've just absolutely fucking loved. There's a band called Spotlights that moved to Pittsburgh. And then there's a band called Geese, not to be
Oh yeah.
confused with Goose. I love Geese. And and so there's Brooklyn has got a really, really cool artist community, of course, for the last 15 years or 20 years of that whole thing of, Williamsburg, Fort Greene, all of that area. People were full on playing music and staying in their neighborhoods. It was wild. You're like, well, who's this band? They don't even play Manhattan. You don't even play Manhattan anymore. That's
Yeah,
like,
because you can't lug an amp through to
Yeah.
Manhattan. It's so
I
hard.
know
yeah,
loving an amp around Brooklyn alone is a fucking nightmare. And especially, most of the places all of our friends and stuff are be at where there's definitely actual venues, but a lot of them are like DIY, squats and, fucking wild ass party places. So it's like bringing shit around anywhere there on there alone is already a nightmare. And it's a lot of like, hey, you have an amp, can I use your amp? Hey, you have a drum set, like I'm gonna show up and just figure it out kind of thing. That's always a wild party.
I
yeah.
feel like I didn't really get into like having my own rig until I moved to
Yeah, same.
Wow.
LA.
I haven't
Because in
done
New
that.
York, you can't have your own rig really, you know. It's like a pain in the ass.
Well, yeah, yeah. It doesn't fit in the apartment,
No.
Yeah.
You can't fit your fucking full stack Marshalls in your shotgun apartment in Ridgewood, Queens.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
insane.
What's interesting is you moved from one high dollar place to another high dollar place.
Right.
What made you guys move to LA?
Well, I was kind of like music. All the bands I was playing with in New York were just kind of like fizzling out, and it just felt I was probably partying a little too hard too, and all that noise. And my girlfriend at the time, I got a job in LA, and she like split in 2 weeks. And I was like, I'm not. I was kind of on the classic New York bullshit. We were like, LA, and then I kind of stuck it out, and then I was like, fuck it, let's just go. And I just kind of fell in love with it.
I
I
got
mean, it was just kind of that, really, just kind of like, well, why not?
I fucking love it here, man. You
Yeah.
know?
It
I've
took me a
Yeah.
minute. My
I lived
first
in New
year here
York.
was
I lived in New York for 4 years, and I love New York, but it doesn't come close to me of LA for, the great thing about it is like you were just talking about, you went out to the desert. When you
yeah.
live in New York, you're like, well, I guess we'll get away. We'll go over to Jersey or Connecticut or
I mean,
Philly.
upstate's beautiful.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it is upstate is beautiful, but it's
Yeah.
one thing. Where here you
Right.
got Joshua Tree, you got Mountain
Yeah.
View, you got
Gotcha.
Big Sur, you have
Sure.
fucking, Mammoth,
Yeah. Yeah. It's true.
There's this weird thing about New York too. When you're there, it feels like it's the only place that exists,
right,
you
Yeah.
right.
know, because you're surrounded by all the buildings and shit. And it's like, that was the hardest thing for me when I left or when I was preparing to leave New York. It was so hard for me to fathom living anywhere else. But once I got out, I like felt like I could take like a fucking actual real breath,
Oh
you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Well, that's the thing. You can see, like I'm looking, over there. I
Yeah.
can see
Right.
over there out my window right now.
You can see the horizon line.
Yeah.
So you guys move out here and obviously decide to kick it into a band mode. And then Noah, your girlfriend's in the band.
Yeah, the drummer, Corey.
And then
Yeah.
where did you guys get the bass player from?
Kyla's an
Kyla,
old friend of New York. She's like born and raised in New York. So she's an old friend. Her and I played in a band together many years ago in New York. And she was moving to LA on the same kind of figuring. I think it was during COVID too, right? No? Yeah, yeah. It's just on the kind of like figuring out I got to get out of New York because it's crazy, and just kind of ended up here, and we're old friends, and it's just kind of like the classic, kind of how Noah was alluding to, like everything just kind of most of the things of this band just kind of like fall in line. You're like, oh, you're the homie. It's like, why do you want to play in this? Like, yeah, sure, okay. It's like, okay. Now it's like 3 years later with Kyla.
yeah.
Now I gotta ask you, the record is what I would consider like all of my favorite flavors. Are you guys Mother Hips fans?
I listened to your show when you mentioned the Mother Hips, and I've actually never listened to them, and
I
so
know
I
they're a
listened to them.
Chico band, right?
Right, right. They
Because we
well,
were on
Chico.
that's where they started, but they've been together 30 years now
the
this
last
year.
tour. Okay, the last tour we were just on. Our friend of ours was like going off about Chico and the Mother Hips, and then I'm not that familiar actually. No.
It's wild, man, because there's a lot of flavor of your record with their first record and their second record, Part Timer Goes Full. And it's mostly kind of like what I love about it is it's not your standard arrangements, verse, chorus. There's some abstract arrangements going on and different types of vibes. And I would say that when the clouds roll in, it could easily be a Mother Hip song. It is wild.
Interesting. I'll
I
have to check
sent
it
I
out.
I sent it over to him, and I was like, "Oh my God, listen to this band."
That's funny
Who?
because I remember when the clouds roll in. First, wouldn't you try? Wasn't it trying to be like a sort of like pseudo, like the band Bob Dylan
Yeah,
sort of vibe? Like
straight
we were like
74
thinking
Dylan.
like I remember there's that one guitar part where you added like a little like Robbie Robertson vibrato,
Yeah,
like the down
yeah,
by wow that thing, you
yeah.
know, like yeah, that was what we were kind of like thinking about a little bit. I think when we were making that song.
Yeah, I gotta check out the Mother Hip stuff though.
It's especially the first two records. Just to
Okay, cool,
give you a check out a song called "Precious Opal."
Mhm.
Check
cool.
out "Trunk Box." Check out "Stoned Up the Road." These are the songs that really remind me of the flavor of your band.
Cool.
And the I really like the first half of your record a lot, but the second half of the record is really what fucking grabbed me from like what is it, 508
Cool.
to
Yeah.
Kick the
Yeah,
Bucket to Ball and Key. I was like,
you like coming down, brother.
Yeah,
well,
that's the
yeah,
come
yeah.
down, dude.
Well, it's really interesting songwriting to me, and it's just got this kind of floaty, airy vibe to it. And I was like, God damn, this shit is great.
Sick. Appreciate
Yeah,
that,
that's
man.
been thanks, man. I feel like that's something we've been kind of trying to. We're right making a writing a new record right now, and trying to kind of piece everything together. But I always what do I call it? I call it opium den rock,
Oh yeah, oh
like
yeah.
like that kind of like ethereal, floating, clean guitars, harmonies, sort of
Yeah.
stuff. But
The
it's
sequencing
fun.
is definitely
It's
important to us.
yeah,
What's that?
The sequencing is definitely very important to us, and we've kind of mulled over that a lot. So it like has like your reaction to it is kind of like the kind of shit that I'm like, yeah, like it worked in my head, where it's like, oh, you like feel you can feel it. 'Cause when I first listened to it full that way, I was like, dude, this is like a really intense. I mean, Acid Trip was kind of like the vibe where, for me at least, is like this very like moving thing.
Oh yeah. Now,
Yeah.
who are some of the influences? I mean, I know what they are, but what were you guys, listening to as a creative,
Yeah.
come together as a group? Like, hey, let's kind of go for this kind of vibe or whatever.
I mean, I feel like the classics, like the rockier shit, is like burned in my fucking brain of like ZZ Top and uh James Gang and
Oh, yeah.
like all my brother, like all that classic stuff is always just like lodged in. But on like the '90s kind of stuff, like all the Madden and Opal and Rain Parade,
yeah,
Acetone, like that stuff is like a maybe for speaking for me in the last decade, maybe that stuff is more like becoming that like those classic rock and all the deep cut '70s stuff is so burned into me now that like when it comes on, it's just like white noise. I mean, I love it all, but
Of
like
course.
that stuff is like really what grabs me now, or out of like a many multiple things. But I don't know. Yeah, like a lot of the
yeah,
chill stuff feels, and like British folk, all that
yeah.
stuff. I mean, I'm looking at what am I
Yeah.
looking at in here? Blood Rock, Gary Higgins stuff, and I don't know.
I was
Yeah,
listening to a lot of Low, that
right.
'90s band
Oh
Low,
yeah.
and yeah, they're great. I love how they write harmonies. And especially that song 508 was a big like kind of like acetone low nod. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's so hard to because you know as like a music lover and a musician and all this stuff like you are always listening to new stuff
Yeah.
and like getting into like a new like niche thing or whatever and like I'm like trying to look back because we recorded the record like 2 years ago. I'm like, what
Yeah.
was I listening to? Like, I can't remember, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
There's just such a, a rich, obviously, music history in Los Angeles, even from the last 20 something years that I've been here. And I think about these LA bands, quote unquote LA bands, and, like Beachwood Sparks. This was a band.
Love
Yeah.
that band. Yeah.
Yeah. And this
Shout
was a
out
band.
Brent.
Yeah. That kind of stuff was, booming when I first moved here, and I love it.
Yeah.
And then, Spaceland, the club was going down, so all these
Sure.
great bands. But at the same time you had Beachwood Sparks, you had the Strokes, which was fucking cool as shit too. I love the Strokes. I don't care what anybody says. Or the early Kings of Leon, the EP with like Wicker Chair and shit like that, because they were kind of Southern, they were like called the Southern Strokes, but they were kind of Allman Brothers vibe.
All right.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Interesting. Yeah, it's funny, like I definitely like Beachwood. Speaking of Beachwood Sparks, like I was obsessed with that band in high school, and they had a band before that called Further that are really, really great. But it was really cool coming out to LA and like playing shows, and all of a sudden we're at one of our gigs in Rademacher's there from Beachwood, and
wow.
he was there to see us, and I was like, this is so cool, like this is somebody's music that I love and like definitely have like taken in and tried to like regurgitate as like a new era of that kind of sound. And I don't know, he's a big supporter of the band and a sweet person. And but it's so cool like being able to like share that lineage with these bands that I feel like are so important, you know.
Yeah, because there's LA bands that just kill, you know.
Hmm.
Right.
I mean, absolutely kill in the thread of the history of the last 25 years. You think about like
Absolutely.
Buzz and Rival Sons and all this different music, LA Witch. It's crazy. I see bands, I go, "Oh, where are these guys from?" "Oh, LA." You're like, "What?" Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah,
crazy. There's a fucking show every night kind of vibe, you know. There's something always
yeah.
going on. There's a 1,000 trillion bands in LA, I would imagine. So it's
Yeah. And there are a lot of good ones. That's why I like to have them on the podcast, because I'm just like, oh my God, this band's great. And that fucking venue, the Roadhouse,
yeah,
the what's
yeah,
that, Noah?
Oh, Permanent Records.
Yeah.
Yeah,
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 man.
yeah.
I saw Tropical Fuckstorm there. That venue feels like you're in the middle of the United States, in some fucking, rundown bar, and it's just full rock.
yeah.
Yeah, it's fun
I never
playing there.
really
We
thought
just
about that, but yeah, it does
Oh,
definitely feel like you're like, I don't know, name anywhere
yeah.
we were. I was just on the last tour in the middle of kind of,
Madison,
yeah,
Wisconsin.
I'll be like, oh,
God.
yes, yeah.
Oh my God, it's got such a vibe. It really feels like you're back. I played music hardcore for 25 years, but in the
Oh, shit.
80s, that's what all the venues felt like when you're on the road. There was no fucking, video screens and some dick with an iPad doing the sound check. There was none of
Oh
that
Lord.
shit. There's the burned out dude over on the monitor board, like,
And they
snare.
still, these places still definitely exist,
Yeah,
just to let
dude.
you know.
Yeah. We
Oh
just did
yeah.
We
a
go
two
through them
month
all, man.
yeah, we just did a 2 month long tour and we definitely experienced some dude named
Yeah,
Snail working the monitors, fucking
whatever. Yeah.
drooling.
And we know that'll always be. That'll always be.
Yeah, that still exists, brother.
Run me through what the tour was like. You guys were headlining, were you opening, or you're in a van, obviously. It had to be pretty
Yeah.
brutal, because I know about you guys, but I don't know anybody that knows who you guys are yet. So tell me about that.
I mean, it was cool. We opened it was an interesting tour because we kind of viewed it as three separate tours that were just all kind of connected to each other. We did a run with this band Aggie, where they're a jam band where we sometimes get lumped into the jam band thing, and so we were opening up for them for like 2.5 weeks, and then we played Psych Fest, the levitation thing in Austin. And then we opened up for this like college rock band, Future Birds. That was really interesting because I felt like uh, I've never played to an audience full of like college bros.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that was like, it was
Yeah.
cool, but and they dug it. And then after that, that ended in New York, and then we did a run of headlining shows back home, and those were actually really great. Really great. It was like actually after touring constantly the last 2.5 years. I mean, we've like done so many like support slots. We like opened for Bryant Jonestown and
Killer.
Fuzz we opened for,
Right.
and like we did a show with Tikagaku Moyo, like all this different stuff. But um, it was cool to finally play, these clubs and bring a good amount of people in there. And that was my favorite part of the tour, even though it was the end of the 2 months and we were all so fucking tired and, just like grumpy and shit. But that was awesome. That was awesome to play our
Yeah.
own shows and bring people that are bands that we like to like open up for us, and like give a hand to like our friends and stuff like that as well. And it was
Yeah.
cool. It was great. Yeah.
Now, you guys, when you're on the road, it's strictly merch is the only way you survive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So vinyl and shirts and hats and shit. Where are you guys selling?
We don't do hats anymore.
Yeah, that was the hats we learned the hard way, or maybe it was the wrong hat, but
Yeah,
it
maybe
was
we
like a
printed the
joke
wrong
in
hat.
it was a joke in the band that like somewhere in the middle of fucking nowhere. I think it was on the last tour where not this one you just did, but it was like somebody like texted to the group chat or like just yelled that was like the last fucking hat is gone. And it was like
Like
all four
across
of
the
us are like,
venue.
thank God, dude. But like
Stickers
shirts,
are,
stickers, and
yeah, stickers are cool. Pins. We had this pin that
tote
actually
bags.
sold tote bags. We had this
Yeah.
pin that sold well that didn't even have our band name on it. It just said,
Yeah.
"I'm cured. I'm not a hippie anymore." And I thought that
Yeah,
was
that's a
like
good
really
one.
cheeky.
That's
you know?
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Now, you said you get lumped into the jam band. The funny thing about the jam band, it is a win and a lose. I mean,
Right.
because you get into the jam band world and the fans are fucking incredible. They go
Yeah.
live shows galore, but then also they are kind of you know they get locked into the like, dude, you guys gonna play some Dead tonight,
Yeah.
like throw a Dead
Yeah.
song in or whatever,
Which is cool. I mean, I love the Grateful Dead,
I
but
love them.
and that's one thing that kind of separates the Dead, in my opinion. These newer, I'm not talking shit,
Songs, they have
but
songs.
yeah, they have songs, and that's kind of how I see us as is that we're a band that writes songs and then jams within them instead of just writing a jam that like doesn't
Right,
really
right,
and that's I think sometimes that especially doing jam band runs and we're like a band with songs that jams that sometimes it doesn't come I don't know, like I just feel like people want to be there more for the drug experience than the
right.
like
Yeah.
Yeah,
craftsmanship, the art experience,
Which is chill as well.
which is
yeah,
cool. I'm down with
But
that,
yeah, whatever. But my
yeah.
thing is when people try to push a band on me. Perfect example. When I heard your band right away, I was like, oh, I fucking love this. I understand the foundation and the roots. I know where you're
right.
coming from, but you're not coming out with a 18-minute,
Right.
song called Banana Boy, you know, just so you
Yeah.
can jam. And I
Right.
try to tell people, they go like, dude, how come you don't like such and such? And I'm like, no fucking songs. Oh, Can
Yeah.
Opener, that's their first song. Cool. Like this is like just, it's semi bro almost.
Yeah. It's kind of
I
a
mean, that's a big thing too right now. I feel like um, in the jam community, and I think that's what I'm having an interesting time kind of navigating because when I was going to high school, all the bros used to kick the shit out of me and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And like now like they're like into like, this like kind of like improvised trippy music that I was like so into, and I was like, I'm just like, part of me is just like, fuck you,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
Yeah.
yeah.
like
I mean, at
Yeah.
some point, it feels like kind of like a faked psychedelic. Like, yeah, like you're saying, it's like about taking a drug and being like, you guys don't really even give a shit about like, there's like a drop in the song, and they're like, oh, but like they don't really,
it's like
Yeah.
EDM music.
yeah, like
Yeah.
like I have a fucking Hawkwind tattoo right here. I'm a fucking idiot. I mean, that's like, if I want to like go Jam World to me has always been like, there's like levels to it that I don't really
Course. Course.
subscribe to. I like the like the really like intensely like there's purpose to those kind of like all the crowd or Japanese or any of this world where like there's meaning behind they're like kind of derivative, but it's like a salt. It's like assault. It is like
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
audio assault, and it's like there's meaning behind this, and that shit really rings bells to me. But anyway,
I've been thinking about this a lot lately too, like in terms of like the birth of like the rock jam thing.
Yeah.
And there's two founding fathers, in my opinion.
Course.
There's the West Coast Grateful Dead,
Yep.
and then there's the Velvet Underground.
Yeah.
And like the two camps, that's when it started separating. So like with the Dead, it starts going towards Iggy and Fish and bands like that. But with the Velvet Underground, I feel like
Yeah.
you know
Brian Jonestown.
Throwing Down Spaceman 3, like
Yeah.
that
I mean,
stuff,
the
which
world's
is
like
psychedelic.
endless. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like, but like, that's, I feel like that's a dividing, not necessarily a dividing line because I obviously love both sides, but it's definitely two different
Yeah.
camps,
And then
you
there's
know?
the third, which is the Allman Brothers.
hell
And
yeah,
Yeah,
they popped off
hell
of like,
yeah,
Black Crows came from that.
yeah,
And
right.
then
yeah.
you get a lot of these you know,
There's a
this
lot of sound alikes, but no, and this is not even any shade. Like I've tried to do it too. There's just like the Allman Brothers, and then there's like everybody like trying to be the Allman Brothers.
course, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah.
It's funny because I first, I didn't go to the Dead till the end. I hated the Dead because I grew up in San Francisco and it was everywhere. And I was like Metallica. And then,
Nice.
but when you think about the Metallica record that means the most to me, it's Injustice for All. And there's heavy prog
Ah,
in that. So it's
very
prog
ball.
metal. So it's totally outside the box.
Right.
But for me, it was really always the Allman Brothers for years, and I was only seeing the Warren Haynes years.
Sure.
But they were
He's a ripper.
oh, and they were
So
so fucking mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
I was like, what is going on with this fucking band?
That was
And
the first two shows I've ever seen in my life was the Casualties and the Allman Brothers
oh,
show, obviously. But
yeah,
but that
yeah.
kind of is like the easiest way to be like, this is how I got into this shit, of playing music.
But my point is,
Oh,
I love jam music. Of those four or five. But I don't need everything jam. I need the song first. I fall in
right.
love with the song, like we're talking about. And then I go, oh man, they really took that somewhere crazy, you
Right.
know?
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of a big thing with our band too, is our records sound like they're like a record or there's like a meaning to the record, and then the live show is like a whole different experience. And
Yeah.
it's like something we're
Yeah.
pretty conscious of where it's like exactly what you're saying. We're like, here is the song, but then we're gonna take it somewhere else because it's like, why not? That's the point of going to a live
Yeah.
show, you know.
Now, where did you guys record the record? And like I said, I just found out about it about 2 months ago.
Right,
When did it come out? And all of that and the artwork, which I fucking love.
right.
cool.
It was
We record.
recorded scattered over LA, two different studios. One is a place it was called Discount Mirrors. It's actually closed now. That was owned by this guy Eric Bauer from San Francisco and John Dwyer. And then another spot called Golden Beat by our friend Mike Kriebel, his spot. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, it took it took less time than we thought it was gonna be with the record. Like
Yeah.
a bulk of the songs were written in like in a month. And then I always remember this. I remember the first day. Corey, our drummer, is so good. She got all of her drum takes done in like the first day and a
Yeah.
half. And then it was
Yeah,
just
the
like,
first day.
yeah, it was the first
I think
day.
it was just day
And then
one. It was all done.
yeah, and then Kyla also got all of her stuff done in the first day. There was we were playing together live, and then we noticed that the intonation on the bass on the first day was all fucked. So she had to redo her bass the second day. But if that wasn't the case, the rhythms would have been done on the
Yeah.
first day, which
Wow.
is kind of
Yeah.
insane. But it was cool, working at that studio at Discount Mirrors is not around anymore, unfortunately. But the idea was to have this kind of like roomier drum sound in it. And it had this big room when we set up all the mics where there was like one close, one kind of like middle, and then one really far away. And then we ended up using
Yeah.
all of it
The
to like
trash
capture the
mic.
entire room. Oh, and the trash mic. The trash
Trash
mic
mic's
was cool.
sick.
Yeah, it was like an old like RCA like 30s broadcasting mic that we
Oh,
like
yeah.
stuck in there too. But our friend is a really great engineer and producer in LA, Mike Kriebel, and he kind of just like, Corey's known him for a really long time, and we've done sessions with him before, and
Yeah.
he really was championing the whole project and made it sound like how it sounds.
Yeah.
Like he definitely helped out a lot within it.
And
Did you guys pay for it yourself or you got a record
yeah.
deal?
Well, we paid for it. How did this happen? We didn't we get a
We
deal I can't remember the. Oh no, we
we
paid
paid
for it
for
out
it
of
up front.
pocket.
We paid for it up
Yeah,
front.
and then we got a deal with that label New West
Yeah.
Records, and um then they paid for it later on. You
Yeah.
know,
Wow.
But to
And
and
come
they're
back,
paying for it.
but Curtis, who did the artwork, is incredible.
Yeah,
He's a Nashville artist. He
yeah,
plays in
Curtis
various different
Gazino.
bands and stuff. But yeah, check him out. His stuff's incredible.
God, I
Yeah.
love the album cover. It's super
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it was cool. We had this discussion with him about, this kind of ties back what I was saying at the beginning, like these like kind of symbols of luck, but like there's kind of like this dark side of luck as well. It's like on all those like classic like Twilight Zone episodes and stuff where you kind of get
Right.
fucked over by luck in the end. So it was kind of just like that whole concept was kind of put into the album cover. And I don't know where the idea of I think what happened, what was the whole four-leaf clover thing, Corey? Was it like, I can't remember where
I
it
don't know
came
either.
from. I like using dreams as like symbols, and I think it might have been like in a dream of mine. I was like, oh, I want to like run with that. And
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're getting ready to record a new record. When do you guys start
Well,
that? How many songs? And
we're still in like the deep writing
Yeah, we're in
zone.
the writing process right now. I mean,
Got a few
it's kind of
songs that are done though.
yeah. It's kind of crazy with all what's going on right now in LA and stuff to
Yeah.
wrap wrap our heads around that. But hopefully it'll be recorded, by the summertime or something like
Yeah.
that. But it's definitely leaning more towards capturing the band in a room sound, like kind of
Yeah.
like um what I've been thinking about a lot is just that, I mean, obviously all the time, but like on the beach, Neil
oh,
Young sort of
Yeah.
vibe, and
it's my favorite.
television's
Yeah.
Marquee Moon, like that's going to be a
Yeah.
big like sonic influence. Same with like Quicksilver Messenger Service,
Yeah.
Sandy
Those
Bull, like
oh
that kind of like
that's the vibe right now.
Blue Oyster Cult, kind of like like tight, tight two guitars pan sort of vibe, not too many overdubs,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah.
That on the beach record it's so fucking mind-boggling to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I could listen to it every day. It's crazy.
Do you
I'm
know
not
about the?
I'm
Wait, go
not
ahead, Corey.
exaggerating on this drive to the desert I did whenever we left during the fire. It was we left at like 10 p.m. and it was just kind of like in the like, oh shit, we have to leave. So it was just like driving like crazy. And I think by the middle of the third time through on the beach, I was like, looked over at my girlfriend. I was like, have we just been listening to like this on the beach like three times? She's like, I think so. But it's just
Oh,
like, it just like happens. But like, I didn't even realize. I was like, this record is so fucking perfect to me, at
oh my
least.
God. I remember when it wasn't on streaming forever. So I
Right.
bought a bootleg CD of it at the flea market.
Nice.
Nice.
I was like, ah, CD. It was so fucking that the cover was just, bad photocopy.
Nice.
But
Yeah.
I could finally listen to it in my car because it's just got this late night vibe to it,
Oh
man. When
yeah,
you're
dude.
driving, and the
Great
guitar
driving record.
tones on it are insane.
Yeah.
I think that's all amp too. It's just straight like old amp sound in room,
Oh,
you
Yeah.
know.
yeah.
Do you know the whole story? Do you know like the like Rusty Kershaw, how he like produced it and like how he was making these concoctions called honey slides and giving it to the band, which was basically like high grade THC and honey, and they were all eating spoonfuls of it.
Oh,
And and during the recording of Vampire Blues, they were so stoned that the producer was sliding around during the take that we all know and hear. The producer Rusty was sliding around the ground like a snake while they were all playing the song. Like it's such like a time capsule. It's so cool.
Right.
those
It's
three
such an
records, those ditch records,
yeah,
And
yeah.
also, I paid $1,000 to see
Oh
Neil
fuck.
at the
At the
Roxy
Roxy
play the
show.
Oh
first two
shit, you
records.
were there?
I
Yeah,
was
how was
front,
that?
I was front row, dude. And I'll
A
tell you what, right
thousand
now,
dollars?
hey, I, it
Sure.
cost a couple $100 to see some shitty band these
Right.
days. It was
Sure.
Yeah.
$1,000. I go, oh, I'm in. Here you go, and it was a tax write off, by the way.
Hey, there you
Nice.
go.
Hell
But
yeah.
Cha-ching.
I all I said was to see him play the first two records in the Roxy, take all my money,
Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have any money. I was just like, this, well, I won't eat this month. I'll just eat at comedy clubs. And
Right,
Yeah.
right.
and I've been watching Neil since I was a kid. I've seen Neil probably as much as, fuck, I don't know, probably one of the most live bands I've seen is Crazy Horse or Neil Young. I saw him with Booker T and the MGs.
Nice.
Oh,
Oh, you
right,
saw
right.
that? Dude,
Oh,
Oh
how
my,
was
sick.
that?
that was fucking great.
That's
And I
so cool.
I interviewed the guys about that, and they're like, "Oh yeah, all his fans hated that." And I was
Oh,
like, "It was
really?
my favorite because it just had this R&B, like R&B
Yeah.
version of like, "Hello, cowgirls in the sand, chicka
Yeah.
dun, chicka dun dun." It's just
Yeah,
like
sick. Yeah.
just fucking Cropper, just chicken,
I mean,
chicken.
that's the guy, dude.
Yeah,
Proper
that's
is
the guy.
somewhere
Oh,
he's
that's the
Yeah.
dude. I had
somewhere
him on
here.
last year. I had
Oh,
him on the
really?
podcast. Yeah,
Oh
Yeah, that's
shit.
cool.
I used to
man.
sell Steve. I have these pins somewhere. I have one left. I used to make pins in New York and sell them. I have a Steve Cropper pin somewhere in my apartment. I don't know where the hell it is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Hey,
Duck
I,
Dunn.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Also the Blues Bro. I mean, I have the record right here. The Blues Brothers record and
Oh yeah,
movie.
yeah.
I don't give it like you were saying about the other stuff. I don't give a shit about that. I love that shit, dude. It's
Uh,
so good.
I met Booker T at Fantasy one time. He had his
Nice.
own studio there, his own room, like a lockout room.
Right.
And Mother Hips were recording their third record there. So I was hanging out. And I walk down the hall and I look, and there's just this guy rocking on this B3. And I look, and it's fucking him. And I go, what the
Wow.
fuck, Booker T? I go, hey, man, I just want to say hi. And he looked at me and looked away. And I was like, wow, what a dick. And later I found out he can't hear from the
Oh
Leslie.
shit.
The
Right,
Leslie just
right, right.
destroyed his
Oh
eardrum.
boy.
Wow, 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 wow,
Yeah.
wow, wow.
Just,
That's all he's hearing. Yeah, yeah.
have you guys ever thought about getting a B3 player, keyboard player in the band?
Yeah,
There's a
we
bunch
had
on the
one.
record.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had. There's this band called. Do you know that band All Them Witches at all?
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
Fuck, yeah, I love
yeah,
him.
yeah.
Yeah.
We had our friend Alan is the keyboardist of that band, and he joined us on tour, when we were opening up for this other band, Circles Around the Sun. And he got to play. We played this really great bar in Austin because he just
Yeah.
had his touring rig, which was just like a Nord
Yeah.
keyboard and like nothing
Great.
else. But when we played this place in Austin called Sam's Town Point, they had a beat through with Leslie, so he played
Yeah.
that. And also like like the cool thing about our band and is that we open up for these bands and then eventually the keyboard player of the band's like, I want to sit in. And so like we'll like we've had some shows where we've gotten to have a keyboard and I think right now it as the state of a touring artist and stuff, we
Of
try to keep
course.
it tight as the four, but obviously we love having when we can having keyboards in the band.
Yeah.
It's
Now,
it
do you
definitely
guys work
opens things up.
jobs? I mean, you got to work jobs, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, brother.
Yeah.
I just right before we started this, my manager or friend or whatever the hell, I was like, wait, the store is open, I guess. So I think I wasn't planning on it, but I guess I'm gonna go back to work right after
Yeah.
this. But I work at like a stationery store in Highland Park. Like I do
Oh, wow.
production for it. I make notebooks in the back.
Nice. What do you do, Noah?
I'm an assistant to a booking agent, so I'm like I'm a psyop in the inside.
Oh yeah.
I get
I
all the info.
I've been there, man.
Yeah,
That's how I learned. I booked a nightclub. So
yeah,
when I was in
yeah.
a band, so I learned the whole biz of both sides.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh
Be like,
yeah.
ah, fuck that band.
It's
Don't
good.
give them
It's
that.
good for me. I get all this insider information about stuff, and it's nice for me to know. You
Yeah.
know,
Hell yeah,
uh,
man. It's an
I
education.
was yeah, I was thinking about well, right before we got on the call, I was like trying to think about like what the similarities and what are the differences of being a touring comedian and a touring band. Because there's probably a lot of same things, but I feel like you know, I don't know much about the touring comedy world, but you're mostly like just by yourself, right?
Yeah, it's so much better. Listen, listen. There's no comparison. It's 1,000 times better. People are always like, "Don't you miss music?" I go, "Dude, not even for 1 second."
Oh my
Right.
God.
Because the thing is, and I just realized the main great thing about being a comedian. I did a 2-month tour with Marcus King, right? We did a rock comedy tour a couple years ago.
Nice.
Oh, true.
Cool.
And I fucking forgot about sitting at the venue all day and fucking night. Oh my
Oh
God. As a
yeah.
comedian, you literally roll in about 5 minutes before you're on.
Right.
You look over your notes, you get
You
something
don't
to
have to
drink.
sound check, man.
You don't need
No,
any
fuck
gear
no.
or
Yeah.
And then
anything.
you walk on and you gig, and then you go out to the merch table and meet people that came and say hey, and you go straight to the hotel. It's not like load the gear and
Yeah.
fucking wait for everything. Oh God, man, that I love doing the Marcus King tour. But the grueler was being at a venue from like 8 a.m. till 2 a.m.
Right.
That's crazy.
because the
Yeah.
bus would pull in and we
Yeah.
would have a day room to shower or whatever,
Oh God, dude. It's
Yeah.
awful.
Oh, it's crazy. So you're just sitting at this venue, and sometimes they're in the middle of nowhere, and you're like, well, I walked over to that field, and made a
Yeah.
phone call.
Yeah, that's
To
Oh,
take
hilarious.
a shit in the middle of the field. That
yeah,
was the
yeah.
word. I've done one bus tour, and that was always my main area of concern is where can I take a shit in the morning?
Well, I figured out the strategy. See, I don't party. So the
Uh-huh.
second we pull into the venue, I'm out of the bunk first on the shitter and then into the shower before
Yeah.
all the fucking bus
Hangover.
drivers and the crew and then by the time the band gets in there,
Yeah.
It's game over, dude.
it looks like a bomb went off in
They,
the
they call
fucking
that
venue.
they call that the screening of the exorcism.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
screening of The
yeah, yeah.
Exorcist.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know that
Yeah,
song
yeah.
"Shout at the Devil," Motley Crue.
Of
Of
course.
I
Yeah.
used to, I used to sing "Shower, shower at the venue"
Yes. There you go.
because
That's
people go,
funny.
"What kind of tour are you on?" "Shower at the venue."
Well, how was the reaction though, really quick, like to the comedy if like all these dudes are
It
there to see some southern rock?
if the room is seated, like the Beacon or the Ryman, or the rooms have seats, it's fucking amazing. People love it. They can sit down, watch some comedy, and get ready for Marcus. If it's standing, they're just kind of, holding their beers like, why is that roadie talking about his dick? You know?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
sure,
they just
sure.
they don't know. They don't know.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
isn't this
Yeah.
sound check a little long? Check,
Yeah.
check.
Yeah.
Recently, I opened for Metallica 2 nights, and that was just
Whoa.
a dream come true because they're like my, longtime
Nice.
friends and
Hell yeah.
favorite of all time. But that was the gnarliest,
Oh, I could imagine.
Yeah. But the first night was rough, and the second night was dynamite. You just figure it out,
Sure.
You
Was that
figure
during
it
those
out.
shows that were here like a month ago?
No, I did it at San
Uh,
Francisco at the Chase
uh,
Arena for their
uh,
40-year anniversary.
Oh,
crazy.
cool.
Yeah.
I mean, working just because thinking about how comedians need to. I mean, we all entertainers need to work a room in some way, but
Yeah.
I've done some stadium shows or arena shows, and working those rooms is so surreal
Oh yeah.
because you don't. It's like so hard for you to understand where everybody is because everybody's surrounded by you. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I
Yeah.
did 72
That's true.
arenas this last couple years, and
Yeah.
I've figured it out. Some people say I'm an arena comic. They're like, you're better in an arena.
What is
Isn't
the
that
what's the
crazy
secret?
though?
The
What's the
secret
secret?
is to go slow.
Yeah.
Right. Because the
Full
sound has to fucking
confidence.
travel, I imagine. The
Yeah,
sound's
just
gotta
full
go
confidence. Just sit
Yeah.
up there like, fuck yeah.
like you're in your
It
living
doesn't
room.
matter what's going to happen. I'm in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah,
I
right.
could sit here and eat a dick for 20 minutes.
Did you interact with the laborers that work at Madison Square Garden at all? Did they show you where the secret smoking zone is?
Oh, I've been dealing with those guys for years, the green jackets and shit,
Yeah, those
man.
guys rock.
Oh, those guys are crazy. How about like right at 4 o'clock, stage is dark. You can't go
Yeah.
near it. You're like,
Yeah,
what are you
Backstage.
talking
it's
about?
lunchtime, dude. It's
Yeah.
lunchtime.
I left
Backstage,
something
dude.
up there. Nope. You
Yeah,
cannot go up there. It's like,
yeah,
what
yeah.
the fuck?
Yeah, that's no joke.
Are you
Uh,
guys comedy guys?
Here and there, yeah.
I would say Corey's more of a comedy guy than
I like the
me.
classics like Mitch Hedberg and Norm Macdonald and
Yeah.
I'm not too well versed, but like yeah, I listen to
Yeah.
I
some
like
shit all the
Norm.
time.
I
Yeah.
No,
like Norm.
Norm's an absolute god.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He
Yeah,
seems
it's
to
a
he's
it's an
like the
oversized
musician.
hat. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why it's funny. It's a big hat.
I
Yeah.
think between everyone I know, like Norm Macdonald is like the musician. Like if you talk to anybody who's like a rocker or whatever, like they always have like in the back of their pocket like some Norm joke
Oh
that they
yeah.
try out. Yeah.
Well, he's the barometer for me if I know I'm going to
Right.
talk to somebody at a party. I go,
Right.
hey, what kind of comedy you like? They go, Norm Macdonald. I go, oh, I'll be sitting here for the night
Right.
talking to
Well,
you.
that's easy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, did Metallica
I
play
was
Blackened at all?
Oh yeah, fuck yeah. Metallica
Nice.
plays them all. Does 2 sets every city, no repeat, dude.
Right.
30 to 40 songs, all different each night.
They're like the last one, and like the early stuff is like obviously it's so amazing, but they're like the last one for me of that world that I haven't seen. It just
Oh,
hasn't happened. It just hasn't happened.
oh.
So
God,
I'm
you
like
gotta
sticking
see
it
them.
out. I gotta
They're
go see it
fucking
once.
firing on all cylinders right now, and they're like 62 or whatever,
I
man.
heard Kirk doesn't use his pinky.
Well, I don't
Really?
know about that, but I'll tell you what, this motherfucker plays these licks and these leads perfect every night,
Yeah.
note for note, man. I mean, they're doing 40 songs. You know how many solos you have to
Yeah.
remember, man?
I
Like
mean,
It's
fucking
lyrics, you got a teleprompter, whatever.
sure.
But fucking
I mean,
solos?
7 minutes is like a minimum for half of the early records. So it's like not a minimum, but you know what I mean. It's
Yeah.
like playing those songs and just playing them in general is like,
Oh my
Jesus
God.
Christ, dude.
I love them. And I love all those people that hate him. They're just such fucking buffoons because they still go to the shows. Ah, fuck Lars.
Yeah.
What are you doing here?
Justice
Oh,
for
Yeah.
Lars, dude.
yeah. It's like Lars is great. Without him, there would be no Metallica because he had
Right,
the
right.
fucking drive and because you had the introvert of Hetfield. He's not out sending cassette tapes around and shaking
Sure,
people's hands
yeah,
down at the Whiskey a Go Go and
sure.
handing out flyers. So you need the two different types of dudes. You
Lars is
know?
the head.
You
Lars
know
is the
what's
head.
funny?
I
I
know
didn't
some
even think
friends who have met
about
him.
this.
I have
I
some
didn't
friends
think
who have
about
met
this.
Lars and said that he's like a head and will like hang out,
Oh,
shoot the shit, tell you all the stories, and he's just like the dude. Like everyone's like, dude, he fucking rocks.
hell, he came right to the dressing room right when I got to the arena, and he came in. He goes, "All right, it's going to be kind of crazy, you know. I mean, I'm not sure how it's going to go, but just go out there, kill it, have fun. You're our family, And
Yeah,
like,
that's awesome.
That's
what the fuck?
crazy.
This guy's so cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's kind of like we had this bit on tour that was gum guy, which is basically you turn into a different person when you chew gum.
Oh
And
yeah,
Lars is kind of the epitome of gum guy, which is like gum guy's cool as hell, But
Just
he's just there,
chewing really
just
hard.
chomping on his gum,
yeah,
He's
Sounds
yeah,
like a
yeah.
gum guy.
I tell you what,
yeah,
man. You got to think about that band. The odds of them making it were 1,000,000 to 1.
Sure.
Long, weird songs, no good looking dudes during they're in the era of like glam rock, you know,
yeah,
Right.
and and that goes back to where we started, man. The power of the word of mouth and the power of the fan. And I think if you have great, great fans, there was a story in the New York Times once that said if you have 1,000 true fans, you could do art for the rest of your life. And it's true,
Sure.
and they've got like 10 million true
Yeah.
fans.
I
yeah,
think they're good. They'll be
Yeah.
yeah,
fine.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing you guys. I sorry I didn't go Thursday. Obviously, the fire,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean, we didn't play.
you didn't play, right?
No, it got
Yeah, we
canceled.
canceled it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it just
That,
didn't make
Yeah.
sense.
that's what I figured. But are you going to be playing again?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have a tour that we're tickets go on sale on the
Friday or
17th, I believe,
17th. Yeah.
Friday. Yeah. But we're opening for this guy Neal Francis, and we're
Oh,
playing the
he's one of my
Bellwether.
good friends, dude.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah.
nice.
Oh,
We're doing a run with him.
oh, dude,
Um,
he's like, I mean, we did the whole tour. It was me,
Oh,
Neil
wow.
Francis, and Marcus King.
oh, cool, great.
Neil's
Okay.
Yeah.
one of my longtime friends, man.
Well,
Oh, great.
sick.
Yeah.
Come
Well,
on
we'll
out.
probably see you at that show in
Oh,
May.
and he'll
Is
be
he just
playing keyboards
yeah,
with
yeah,
you
Yeah,
yeah.
guys.
maybe. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah, we'll get him to sit in.
We'll see.
Where are you guys
But
playing here?
at the Bellwether.
Oh, I'm all over that. Please email me the date
Yeah,
Yeah, for
for sure.
sure.
or tell me
And
the
we'll
date
pop.
now so people know.
It's
Yeah, I can
the
look it up.
Bellwether show.
I know
Oh
it's
my,
in May, right?
Yeah. Here we go.
oh,
It is May 8th at the Bellwether.
yes, I'm home.
Nice.
Nice. Hell
Oh,
yeah. We'll probably
wow.
we'll probably end up playing some sort of benefit show for the
Right.
Palisades and Eaton
Right.
Fire as
I'll
well.
have to
I'm
do
gonna
that,
do a
maybe.
bunch of comedy shows for the fire victims. I'll do as many benefits as I can, man, because it's just like especially I really want to rebuild this city mostly for all those people that are like fuck LA. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, just letting you know,
Yeah.
we're gonna rebuild and be
Yeah.
stronger, you know?
yeah,
Right on.
absolutely. We just can't let those fucking investment clowns get in there and turn everything
Fuck
into old
that.
foods.
Yeah,
You know?
BlackRock
Yeah,
bastards.
they can go fuck themselves,
They
honestly.
can absolutely fuck themselves. And what I'm hoping, the good thing about this fire, I'm hoping is like even the wealthy people will be like, hey, fuck these greedy corporate people because they're going to get a taste of it. They're getting a taste of it right now with
Sure.
insurance companies
Yeah.
and people raising their rents in the last 3 days because they need a
Mhm.
That's so
place to rent. So
Insane.
yeah, it's
it's
fucked
going to
up.
be an amazing eye opener, I hope, of hey, fuck this. Things need to change, you know?
I hope so.
Yeah,
That'd be
I hope
nice.
so too.
Yeah. All right, guys. Maybe I'll see you at Maru or something while I'm grabbing a fucking coffee.
Dude, what's up
Yeah.
with that place?
It's great. It's the
I've never
best.
been. I drive
It's the
by every
best.
fucking. I'm gonna drive by in an hour. Like there's a line always down the fucking street. What is
No,
this?
I'm going to give you a tip. The line takes about 6 minutes.
Okay.
So, And if you're into matcha, which I drink every day,
I love that.
yeah, they have
Yeah.
the only matcha I'll drink now because it is
Nice.
so authentic and clean and great.
Okay, okay.
Nice. Hell
Now I
yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then don't forget about All Time, the best restaurant in the
Dude,
neighborhood.
I like that place.
Oh, the
Yeah, yeah.
best.
Yeah, I can walk there from my house.
Yeah, same here.
All right,
All
so
right.
close.
Yeah.
I love you guys, man. What a
All right.
great
Yeah.
fucking
Thank
band.
you.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you, man.
congrats. And I'll see. Oh, I can't wait to see you with Neal. I'm gonna call him
Yeah, it's
right
gonna be
now.
fun. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. That's
And
awesome.
tour dates, where are they at? You got a website?
Yeah, they'll be up on our website, colorgreenband.com.
And
Yeah, they'll be
then
up there soon.
Instagram is what?
Color Green.
Color
Boom.
green. Oh, last
Super
thing, dumb
simple.
question. I never answer it, but ask it. But color green. What? Anything with the name?
I was hoping that one wasn't gonna come up. I don't know. At this point, we don't even know anymore. We just
Yeah,
tell.
yeah, yeah.
Do we just tell like 20 different stories at this
I
point?
like saying it's the harmonic frequency.
Yeah, there you
the
go.
color
Yeah.
the color of the harmonic frequency of planet Earth.
It's funny
David
because
Lynch.
I call all the my fans the Green Deans.
Nice.
Well, David Lynch
Well, we're-
on a FaceTime to our bass player said, the color of money. So that one was funny.
Yeah, David Lynch named the band.
He's a god.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
All right, guys. Thank you.
Yeah,
All right,
cool.
cheers.
Hey, if you
Yeah.
want to come see comedy, just hit me anytime.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, I would love to come
Yeah.
see a show.
Come
for
out.
sure.
Let's fuck around.
Yeah,
Sounds
yeah,
good,
for
man.
sure. All
All right.
Peace out.
See you
man.
guys later.